Eerst gaan we naar Engeland, naar een van de meest bijzondere huizen die we in deze hele serie van binnen hebben mogen bekijken. En waar ook nog een interessante vrouw woont, popster Kim Wilde. Nog niet zo lang geleden een van de mooiste, meest sexy popzangeressen, nu in de 30 en net getrouwd. Ze reisde de wereld over met Michael Jackson, leerde heel veel van die tournee. Kim Wilde is een vrouw die alles leek te hebben. Succes, geld en een prachtig hoofd. En die toch op een ochtend wakker werd en dacht, waarom zou ik eigenlijk verder leven? Kim Wilde. In Auto met chauffeur zijn we op weg naar Kim Wilde. Een Engelse popster met op haar naam zelfs een nummer 1 hit in Amerika. We zijn in de streek Hertsfordshire, in het plaatsje Welwyn, ruim 1 uur ten noorden van Londen. Een gehucht met een centrale plaats voor de kerk en met een opvallend verkeersbord. Dat aangeeft dat het hier nou niet wat je noemt barst van de jongeren. Maar om de rust die hier heerst ging het haar nu juist. De 36-jarige popster die hier, u zult het zien, een 16e-eeuwse schuur eigenhandig omtoverde tot een wonderlijk woonpaleis. Kim Wilde, toen ook voor haar de roem eindig en vergankelijk bleek, stortte haar wereld in. En toen vond ze dit huis. En daarmee hervond ze langzaam maar zeker ook zichzelf. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning.
This is a 16th century barn.
Yep.
Aren't any ghosts here? Because in the average English barn you might find some ghosts.
I know, well, actually, there might be some little sheep ghosts, little lamb ghosts, but there's no one's lived here except for me.
Yes?
So I found it about 5 years ago and renovated it, but there were chickens running around when I got here. But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's quite rare, really.
What did you do to make this very old barn into this modern house? Because it's both now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a 16th century barn with a 90s feel to it. I mean, most of the furniture really is kind of in an old style. So.
Did you do a lot yourself?
Yeah, I did most of, I haven't actually done a lot of decorating in this part, but we're sort of gradually doing it. But, pretty much kept it as it was, just put in a few levels and a bit of furniture, but try to not change the character of the barn too much. It was too beautiful to change that
You sent the chickens out.
The chickens were
that's
banished.
That's a major change, probably.
The owl's never forgiven me.
No.
Right, it's outside going, woo, woo.
Do you remember seeing this place for the first time?
Yeah, I remember the first time I came here, I walked through that door over there, which was a great big barn door, and I just stepped in here, and it was a day very much like today, and the sun was just streaming in through some of the boards, which were kind of mislodged, There was just sun, it just really was the most peaceful place I'd ever walked into in my life.
Yes, I can imagine.
And I just thought, well, I've got to live here. Then we took about a year and a half renovating it.
Yeah.
And I was, meanwhile, living in London. And I moved in on my 30th birthday. I had a big party and slept on the floor. And I continued to sleep on the floor until just recently when I bought myself a bed. And that's only because I got married.
Finally, you could afford yourself a bed.
Yeah.
Kim Wilde. Pa en ma zitten of zaten ook in de muziek. Zij zijn het schoolvoorbeeld van een goed huwelijk, met moeder in de rol van Mrs. Thatcher, dus als de stabiele factor. Moeder Wilde kreeg Kim toen ze 19 was. En nu woont het hele gezin hier in de buurt bij elkaar. Haar broer Ricky van 35, maar ook de nakomertjes. Kims 20 jaar jongere broertje en zusje. Vanaf het moment van haar geboorte leeft Kim Wilde in de publiciteit. Want vader Marty Wilde is in Engeland een soort nationale figuur. Die vader schreef muziekgeschiedenis met dit soort hits. Was your mother especially your foundation? Because reading about her, I always had the impression she was sort of Mrs. Thatcher. She was always right, wasn't she?
Well, she certainly is someone who you don't want to mess with.
No, absolutely not.
And she's a real character, and she's very strong-willed and has her own very strong opinions. And I have them in a different way, so we've often, as I've grown up, had a bit of a clash. It wasn't until I sort of got into my 30s that I started to understand her and understand myself and understand how we could be strong-willed together, you know, instead of fighting. But that's a sort of mum-daughter perennial scenario, I think.
En dan zet een rol in Tommy haar leven op zijn kop. Want nu beleeft ze 7 avonden per week nieuwe successen in deze mede door Joop van den Ende geproduceerde rockopera. De recensies waren lovend en te midden van de cast vindt ze dan en passant ook nog de liefde van haar leven. Tegenspeler Hal Fowler.
Then we see here some very private photograph, I don't know whether we are allowed to see it, of your marriage. Because you wanted to prevent it to become a media circus.
Sure.
Did you succeed in preventing all the press getting there?
No. As you can see in this picture, I mean, there are hundreds, that's as we came out the church. And
But you hated that idea.
No, I didn't mind.
No.
I just didn't, they weren't invited to the reception,
No.
and they weren't invited into the church. The church was just family and friends, and the reception was likewise. You know, and I'm very happy, the public part of my life. I didn't want to sort of suddenly embrace the public all my life and then deny them on my wedding day.
You met your husband in the musical Tommy.
Yes.
You had never met before?
No.
So this musical is a great change in your life.
Yeah. I remember him the first day. And I remember thinking, oh, he's rather cute. But then I thought he looked like trouble, so I kept away from him for a while.
And how did he propose? In a romantic way?
We had a few days off, and he decided, because it was only a few days and we couldn't actually take a holiday and go away, that he hired a little 4-seater plane, and we went to Calais just for lunch. Which, you know, so we could say, well, we did go away anyway, even if it's just for a few hours. And we got there and he said, do you think maybe we should get engaged here? I said, yeah. So we ran down the street looking for a shop that sold rings, found 2 rings that were silver. They were the only 2 like it in the shop. The big one fit him, the little one fit me. So we both bought each other the rings and proposed to each other over the chicken liver pate.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, it was very romantic.
Great.
It was really great.
And one of the advantages of living here is that you see your younger brother and sister grow up.
Yeah.
Are these drawings they made or not?
Well, these are actually from my brother's kids, Scarlett and Marty, who are my nephew and my niece. And they came round a few weeks before we got married, and they did these paintings of Helen and I.
This is the marriage
married.
painting here.
Yeah.
Great. This is supposed to be you here.
That's me. I
That's
don't know
an
why.
artist impression, one can say.
She's only 7, and Marty did that. He's 10, and
This is with all the press probably and the family here.
yeah, that's all the family and people in the church.
Yeah. And then let's say the marriage of your parents is a great example now, because their marriage is
Yeah.
sort of the Bank of England. I always have the impression.
Yeah, they've been married for 36 years.
Yes.
And my husband's parents have been married for a similar length of time.
So it's in the family.
We both come from very strong, loving
Nothing to worry
families.
about there.
No.
Kim Wilde. Na haar moeilijke jaren heeft ze nu alles. Een man, een huis en hoewel ze dat tegenwoordig minder belangrijk vindt, in Engeland ook weer een hit.
Shall we sit down here because it's such a beautiful place? So does this all mean that you planning to step out of the limelight a bit or not, now that you're married? Or
I think in a sense I will. I don't particularly feel comfortable in continuing my life as it was before.
Yes.
Jumping on aeroplanes every 5 minutes, doing TVs around the world. I mean, I would miss to not do that, but I think you can't have it all the time. I think it's time for me to approach my career from a different angle. I'm going to have to, especially because I want to have kids as soon as I can.
You were famous since the moment you were born, because of your father, because of your mother. I even remember a story that your father had to give you away when he came out of the hospital to a photographer because he had to give autographs. Is that true?
I bet it is. And it's just like him to do that.
What sort of influence does that have on one's life when you're famous from the first day you're here?
I grew up in public and I wasn't very infatuated by being a star or the glamorous life, which I've always really felt uncomfortable with, and I've never really embraced wholly. Yeah. Just now and again, yes. For a laugh.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why you had your sort of famous crisis a couple of years ago.
I think so. I think after a point, all the work and the success that I'd accumulated, and I still felt a bit confused. I thought, well, I don't want to feel confused. How much more success do I need to stop feeling confused? And it didn't seem to me that any amount could, give me peace of mind. And I did the tour with Michael Jackson, and I saw a man profoundly ill at ease with himself and with life and with people around him. And and I thought, wow, obviously success isn't the key. Obviously, selling much, more and more records isn't what it is. And I know it sounds very obvious, but when you're
maybe also a bit due to his character.
When you're stuck in the middle of it, it's hard to see.
Yeah, that's true. So you were looking for true values, let's say.
Yeah, and I knew I wasn't going to find it being more and more successful. Had to take a step back.
But the strange thing is that this crisis happened more or less after you did this Michael Jackson tour.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
The paradox in the whole situation is that for a lot of girls, you are the dream girl, beautiful, a lot of success, traveling all over the world, performing with Michael Jackson, yeah. And suddenly there was this strange sort of crisis. How do you look back upon that period of time, where you might even have considered, I prefer not to wake up this morning? That sort of ideas must have come to your mind.
Yeah.
How do you look back upon that period now that the balance is here and there's time to play?
Yeah, well, it was obviously a transition that I needed to go through, and because of the circumstances of my career, which was not, that great at the time, but had been very great. There was time on my hands to reflect. So I look upon it as my salvation in a way, because there was time for me to grow up and time to me to look at some things perhaps that I'd just been avoiding.
Yes. What had you been avoiding then?
I think really that, just throwing myself into my career so wholeheartedly and expecting it to, be the answer to everything. I expected too much from success.
But stars in Britain have to be dramatic, more than any other people in the entire world. The British people want their stars to be dramatic. Orson Welles, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. They like a bit of drama
only need
here.
tragic. They only love tragic actors.
Yeah, a bit of. They do, and we're all drawn to to tragic scenarios, and I suppose I just decided I didn't want to be the living embodiment of one of those tragedies.
Where does it come from? Does it go back to Shakespeare, probably?
Probably a real melodramatic sort of a bitch he was. So I don't want any more melodrama in my life.
I can imagine that. On the one hand, you found fame a strange phenomenon. On the other hand, I remember one story when the paparazzis ran into you but passed straight by you and went to someone else. You thought, this shouldn't be my fate.
Well, at the same time, it was a very painful reminder of how transient fame can be and how ephemeral it is and how unsubstantial it really is. Yes. And what it actually is nothing. There's that famous saying that someone said to look at success and failure for the imposters they both are. and you know, come out of it hopefully as just someone who just looks at both of them in the same way. And that's a good lesson to learn. It's not an easy one.
Tot slot moeten we het voor de liefhebbers dan nog even hebben over Kim's bruidsjurk. Hier volgen de details met betrekking tot de aankoop van deze prachtjapon.
I actually saw the dress a few weeks before Hal proposed to me in a little shop round from the theatre in London. And I saw it over a chair and I thought, wow, if I ever get married, I'll wear that dress. And within a few weeks, Hal had asked me, and within a few weeks I was in the shop trying it on. I was going, whoa, yeah. And it looked great.
Great. What's your ambition from now on?
Well, my priority at the moment is to, you know, have fun with my husband and have our kids. So we want to have our kids quite soon. And I don't know how many, but, you know, whatever. And
Six will do.
6 will do, and I have some more music in me that I'd like to make.
But can you think of a life without applause?
Yeah. I know, you know, it sounds corny, but as long as, you know, as long as Hal likes what I do, it's all right, really.
As long as he applauds.
Yeah, as long as I get some applause from him now and again, I think that will do me fine.
Thanks very much.
It's a pleasure.